Alba will be talking about who is afraid of death. And it is a very interesting topic, right? Especially for us spiritists. I can hear myself. Especially us spiritists, because we take very seriously this matter, and sometimes we can confuse ourselves with certain ideas, certain beliefs that perhaps is not there in spiritism. But Alba will guide us and converse with us and on this matter, hopefully giving us the guidance not to be so afraid. Still be afraid, because things don't change overnight, right? But at least live a little more enlightened life regards this matter. So, Alba, please.
Hello. Yeah. Please allow me to accommodate here. I'm going to follow Divaldo's example, because when you're giving a talk, a palestra, right? We need to stand up in order for the air and the voice and everything to be eloquent. And he's 90 something, I'm 50 something. And I need to give the presentation sitting because carnation situations, right? Health problems. So thank you. Thank you for your patience. I am so happy of being here, seeing familiar faces that are visiting us, etc. But also, we would like to make the incarnate group here aware that there is a large group of discarnate brothers and sisters watching this presentation. Not because Albita is so cool and so nice, no. It's because of the topic. So if you pay attention to the Happy Life reading, right, like open your mind for new ideas and concepts. So what we're going to do here today is basically Death 101, something like that. There are very basic concepts that if we are spiritists, we already know these concepts. We study at some point, and it's like, oh, okay, that's familiar. So it's good to remember, but there is also a large group of people here that we cannot see with our physical eyes, that for them is kind of like the first time, or they are just learning these concepts. So we help one another. Oh, okay. It is so interesting. We don't want to discriminate here, but it was so interesting that the gentlemen here, they were the ones who very quickly raised your hand. Maybe it's something we never expect, but it's a good, I don't know, it's a topic to explore next time. Maybe because we girls, we are raised differently. Some of us, we are mothers or endure certain situations in life that death is like a, but it is not. And it is normal, as we're going to see. It's part of being in this physical body. And there are different reasons. Now, I don't know. You told me the bottom one. I don't know which ones. Okay. So here it is. We were realizing that in the last 4 years, we have been giving presentations about the same topic. And every time when we give a presentation, we select the topic by inspiration. It's not by what Albita likes or feels comfortable talking about it. It's mostly about a need that is over there, and just by intuition, by inspiration, I feel it in my heart, and I say, okay, let's talk about this. So in February 2021, we were still in pandemic, and we give a presentation about the passage. So you can go to our website, and you can find it there, right, Danielito? It's February 2021. And this specific presentation talks about the time in which the spirit is disconnected from the physical body, just like we have a zoom lens, and that presentation is about it. What is happening? And we're going to say today what happened very quickly. And then last year, in June 2024, with my friends Aloisio and Diony, we talk about the comforting mediumship, the letters of Chico Xavier, that is based on a documentary of Chico Xavier, of the he psychographed so many letters coming from the spirit world, and all of them, they were children writing to their mothers specifically, and there are more than 600 letters, communications, children of all ages, like a little toddler, so 35-year-old guy, but is writing to his or her mother, right? So we want to, the lens in that presentation, it is about how comforting is to know that our loved ones are okay. And they communicate to us and they're saying, hey, it's okay, I'm fine, I'm okay. And today's message is mostly about, we were talking with Diana in the car, it's like, we don't know how to say this, but it's like a death etiquette or the passage etiquette. So we are not going to discarnate, someone else is discarnating, a family member, whoever, how can we help our loved one, our friend, our co-worker, even if we don't visit, even if we are not there, how can we help in the very last moments of physical life? How can we help during the funeral or whatever is the religious or the faith celebration ritual around death? And how can we help later on? So that's basically today's topic. And we want to start with this quote by Seneca. Let us look at the dead ones as if they were just absent. By thus thinking, we will not be mistaken. They are in a long vacation in a different land, but they're not, they didn't disappear. They didn't burn and they're not here anymore. They're somewhere. We cannot, in our brain probably, we cannot think in where are they, and it depends of our religious background. We will say heaven or purgatory, sometimes hell, we don't know. But there is a place that we cannot perceive with our physical senses, but is there. There is there, and we see the literature here is telling us there is a place. So they're just traveling. They went for a long cruise, and we are here awaiting for our boat. So, we forgot to mention also that most of this presentation, as Leo mentioned, is from this little book that we actually found. It's like a, you know when there is a Spanish for dummies or carpenter for dummies, or well, this is death, the passage for dummies, but from a spiritist perspective. And it touched so many deep topics, like euthanasia, abortion, suicide, death penalty, in such simple language that we are all able to understand and also to feel the comfort, because it's a very comforting book. We're not going to talk about all the chapters here, just some excerpts, but we invite you to read it. It's an easy reading. And even though the topic feels like, oh, it's heavy, it is not when we are reading this. And it has applause, it has illustrations, which we like it because we are visual learners, for those who learn visually. Illustrations is actually there are comics, so it's a great book. It seems light, it is not. It goes to the point. So we are going to start by defining why we are fearful of death. What is this? So from the book Heaven and Hell, in the second chapter, there give us different reasons, and they explain every reason very long. It's like 8 pages or more. So the first reason that actually Kardec provides there is the facts of the wisdom of the providence, or basically God's mercy. That, you know why I need to wear glasses here? I don't know, Leo. It's hard for me to read. Can you tell it's being long? I don't give a talk. Okay. This fear is an effect of the wisdom of providence and a consequence on the self-preservation instinct common to all living beings. Basically, it's an instinct that we have in order for us, when we are encounter obstacles, difficulties, and problems, we are not going to throw ourselves from a bridge because we are not able to cope with the situation. It is something that is embedded so deep in our conscience, and in the Spirit's book, we can find where are the laws of God writing, and the Spirit say, in your conscience. So we know those laws, and one of the laws is like, hey, don't finish your own physical life. There is no point in doing that. If this is a video game, if you do that, you're going to go back so many lives and then take a lot of time for you to build again in the progress. So what we're saying here is we need to preserve our physical life. And there is some instincts there, like the flight and fight, etc. But when there are situations of, like, let's say, of a natural disaster, God forbidding, it's very rare on the side of the country that we have earthquakes. But let's say if it's an earthquake here, each one of us is going to act differently because it's a reaction. We don't think. We're not going to think and plan, I'm going to that exit and then no, we just do it. And that instinct is to take care of me and my life. And then we turn around and we say, okay, I can help you. The same with the famous airplane sample, right? I think it was you, Leo, who talked about it. No, I think it was Kirsten who talked last time. That in the plane, they tell you, wear the face mask, the oxygen mask, you first, and then you help others. So basically, it's like take care of your life first, and then we will see the others. It's no selfishness. It's because we need this physical envelope for us to accomplish what we need to accomplish in this lifetime. Right? Otherwise, the life will be unbearable. Can you imagine the primitive humans on the planet when they were finding all this trouble of difficulties trying to gather food when they were hunters, before they learned about agriculture? We will say almost discovered, because it was by randomly a seed falling in the ground and then, oh, unga unga is a tree. So then we became a people that we are not moving from one place to another. Can you imagine, with all these difficulties, just to survive in this harsh environment? Imagine this group of people saying, today we're going to start, we didn't hunt, whatever it is, and then they kill themselves. It seems unnatural, but that's why we get this instinct. And God, in its divine mercy, is providing us, it's a tool that we have to protect our very own physical life. Then they say, in Heaven and Hell, in the chapter 2, that the worry about death arises from an insufficient idea about the future life. basically we ignore, not to say we're ignorant, but we ignore that there is a life awaiting for us. This happen in communities or in families in there is not this notion of God, for instance, or you just think about your physical needs, your material needs, and once you fulfill those needs, I'm okay. I'm not thinking that something else is going to happen. Also, the idea of like when somebody die is the end of that physical or something else life. Like it's nothing. It's the nothingness after that. And yes, there is still brothers and sisters of us that they have that notion, because we are in the school of planet Earth, right? So we are in different grades. Some of us, we are in pre-K, and some others are in high school. But guess what? Some others, they're already doing a doctorate, talking about moral evolution. So that is why we have different ideas, and we need to be open to the new ones, as Joanna say. So this is one of the reasons why we fear death, is because we don't know that there is a life in the future, that something awaits for me, that this is not the end. It's actually the beginning of something else, right? Then they say the concept that the soul is a point, an atom, a spark of a flame, those who are dear to them are reduced to atoms. And when we were reading these ideas, we were like, really? There is people that thinks that we are just a little tiny point light, but lifeless. When we have when we have a bonfire, how do you call the sparkling things from the bonfire? The ashes or the sparks, lifeless sparks. Where is this coming from? Maybe from the cultural environment when they are growing up, but also as spirits, we need to take in consideration all the learning that we have been achieving, not only in the present life, but in our previous lives. So it's not there yet. And then another cause for remaining attached to early things is the impression they or the people retain of the childhood teachings related to it. The picture that religion has sketched out concerning the subject is nothing seductive and even less consoling, like a heaven, hell, purgatory. And when we were reading this, we were thinking, oh, how sweet the way Allan Kardec put it here, impressions retained and childhood, but it's actually every single day that when we are little, when we are children, and we are learning all concepts about life, different things, right? How to tie our shoes, as well as how is our relationship with this thing that we call death. And it depends in our culture, or it depends of our society, that, okay, my family is Catholic or Christian or Jewish or Muslim or atheists. And that is so deep, and help me here, Paula, that is so deep over there in our conscious, almost subconscious, that is creating an impact in our life here in the present as an adult. So even if let's say we grew up Catholic, and we're going to say this because we grew up Catholic, so those are the things that we know. We cannot talk about Muslim because we have friends, but that's not the same. So the experience was this. I was for 13 years in a Catholic school. and they were nuns from Spain. Spain. So it makes a difference where they are from, because it depends how open or closed are their minds of those Catholics. So 13 years there, from 4 years old to 17 or whoever. So it's imprinted there. And that was the decision of our parents. Thank you, Mommy. It was very helpful. It was very helpful because we get to know the gospel and Jesus, but also we got to know, like, what are you doing? Whatever you do now, are you being bad? You're going to hell, and you're going to burn forever. So what kind of God is that one? Totally unmerciful, and for like we made a mistake and we are going to burn forever. So whatever God is, what is the immense love? What is this eternal love for me? The only thing that I was doing, I was stealing the dark chocolate from our, these little tablets of chocolate. I like to eat it raw, which is not good. Because they give you stomachache. But we were thinking in our mind, I was eating the chocolate and thinking, I'm going to burn in hell, but I'm going to be happy because this chocolate is good. For now, yes. So same for the purgatory. The purgatory situation is a very difficult situation for the souls or spirits that are there, because they are not in heaven, not in hell. And according to the Catholic tradition, like a little tiny babies, newborns, if they haven't been baptized and they die, then they go to purgatory, because they're so tiny, so little, that what bad thing they're going to create or to do, are they going to hate someone? No. But at the same time, they didn't do something good for others. So they are in this state of transition in the purgatory. And this is a very difficult place to be, because then you cannot get yourself out of the purgatory. You need to wait for others that are incarnate on planet Earth to pray for me to get out of purgatory. And we're talking about these concepts with love and respect, because that was the foundation that brought us to Spiritism, thinking something wrong here. Doesn't work like that. So we decide to seek for new ideas and concepts, right? Questioning why this, why that. So definitely we are afraid of death, because if we believe, if that is the body of beliefs or concepts that we have, then I don't want to die, because I'm not being totally good and saint. I'm going to hell. And a parenthesis here. The idea of hell is coming from the time, couple of years before Jesus to accomplish his mission, it was necessary for so many spirits that they were populating planet Earth, incarnates and discarnates, temporary away for the planet, because their thoughts and actions, they were creating dark energy that even Jesus himself couldn't do anything better with them, with such a position. The victors, Jesus' team, by the way, they took the decision, and they decide, we're going to temporarily take all these millions of spirits that are very rebellious and frivolous and cold and evil in the sense of ignorance of goodness. We're going to take them to a spiritual place that is located just it's not on the planet, in the physical planet, but it's like let's say it's on top of the equator. So if you see the sunlight, the rays of the sun, it goes directly to all the countries that are in the line of the equator, right? And it's, as we go to the north, it's less, like here in the United States. That's why we have seasons, etc. And as you go to the south, the same, like in Chile, Argentina. But if you live in Colombia, we are from Colombia, we have a very sunny year, all year round. So these spirits, they were put there. And it was also the grace of God. It's not because God wanted to punish these spirits, because we are all his, her, beloved children, but because the light, the sun rays, they have this property of curative. Do we say curative? Curative is healthy. We know that when we are exposed to the sun, we get the vitamin C, etc. And because they are high evolved spirits that inhabit the sun, they are like our protectors. And their vibration, their light is so intense that they create this phenomena called the sun. So they say, okay, we are going to let these very high evolved spirits to influence these other spirits that they are not even in the pre-K talking about moral evolution. So they were there, the spirits, all day, every day, for several centuries, experiences the direct sun rays. Sorry. So it was hot because they were earth bounded. So they were feeling like they were incarnated on planet Earth. So it was very hot. They thought they were burning their skin, etc. And to make the story short, in this place, it was a huge place. It was divided in 4 main cities. And in each city, they have a leader, a very intelligent, yet not really evolved individual. And later on, by the medieval times, a little bit before that, they open the gates of this place. They say, okay, these people is ready to receive a new opportunity on planet Earth. We are going to provide them that opportunity. So they start reincarnating, especially in Europe. And then we have something that is called the Crusades. And they were 4 main houses or 4 main armies, which is so interesting. So this is just a parenthesis because we're talking here about why we are afraid. So now we are afraid that we're going to burn in hell. No, we don't know if the place is still working or not, but definitely we have a different concept and we are working towards our very own evolution. We're not going to such place. And by the way, we brought here as a background Coco. Have you watched the movie Coco by Disney? It's not sweet. It gave so much hope. And this Mexican tradition, it comes, actually is from the Mayans and the Aztecans, indigenous, that they knew that we can communicate with the spirits. They already knew that. We forgot about it. So this tradition of the Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, is to celebrate the reencounter between the 2 different types of life, the material one and the spiritual one. And we're going to move forward. And then they say that everything, all our customs contributes toward causing us to mourn the loss of early life. Death is surrounded with morbid ceremonies that serve more to terrorize than to awake hope. And by the way, the first cartoon about the dead, that's what so many people think, that death is coming. This guy or lady, we don't know, with this hoodie, dark hoodie, and tha- that's the concept or the idea that is coming from deep, from coming from back in history, centuries, and is embedded still in our mind, our spiritual mind. That's why we need to check a little bit this and say, no, there is hope, there is something better. And the usual belief places souls in regions that are only accessible to thought and where they become somehow unknown to the living. So basically, is the fact of not knowing how I'm going to communicate with I don't know, my cousin. My cousin discarnate 2 years ago. Is my same age, and we grow together, and it brings so much comfort knowing that it wasn't the end of his life and that he is probably living in a very nice city above Colombia with his father and his mother, and it brings comfort. We miss him, yes, but it's different. And then we love this cartoon. No, I don't want to die yet. And then the dead say, why does everyone always think that death is the end? And then it's the afterlife party. So we know spirits, we know, right? Okay. And then we go to the spirits book, when in question and answer 153, they say, it is only the life of the spirit that is eternal. The life of the body is transitory and temporary. When the body dies, the soul returns to the eternal life. And I can drop the microphone right here and right now, because this concept is the one who truly makes us shift our mentality, our beliefs, whatever we were thinking in the past. Knowing this, it is a lot of hope there. Not only because we think about our loved ones that already depart, like, oh, they are somewhere, but about ourselves. Because for sure, we have a deadline, right? We have our due date. We don't know when. It could be sudden, or it could be through a prolonged illness. Whatever it is, for sure we're going back. But knowing that we are still connected with the people that we love in planet Earth, and there are so many on the other side awaiting for us, it changed totally, completely our mind and our values. And where do we place a lot of energy trying to get a lot of material things, like there is nothing in getting material things, but if we're only focusing in trying to get entertainment and parties and I don't know, so many houses and cars, and our mind is only there, when our time comes, it's going to be difficult. So we can have 5 houses, 3 cars, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's part of life. It's the attachment that we put towards those material things, to our own very body, the attachment that we put on our loved ones. So when we grieve, we are not truly grieving for the person who departed. We are grieving for ourselves, because it hurts not to have the person next to us. Is that? But they're somewhere, and we know we can communicate with them. We are all mediums. It's in the mediums book. We are all mediums, and we are permanently, constantly communicating with the spirits with our mind. So we just think about the person. And an exercise that we like to do when we are thinking in a loved one that depart, for instance, my cousin. So when I think about him, I imagine a bouquet of white roses. This is personal. And I imagine that I'm giving him this bouquet of white roses. As a matter of fact, I see a table and the vase and everything. Because we have in André Louis literature uh, we don't remember in which one, but it's somewhere there where and life goes on. Um, when the main character was in the spiritual hospital recovering from the transition, because we need to recover, is kind of when we come to planet Earth. It's not really like a fun situation. It's a little bit traumatic the way we enter the world. The same when we depart, but they are very good hands around us to help us. So she was recovering from the transition, and one day she entered her room and she saw these beautiful flowers there, and like, where are they coming from? So the spirit mentor told her, oh, it's your mother that is thinking about you. It's your mother that is praying for you. And those prayers somehow materialize in the spirit world. It sounds contradictory, but we have a perispirit. So that was the way that the mother's prayer reflect on this lady's room. So here, very quickly, we're going to read from Heaven and Hell how we detach from the material envelope. The extinction of the organic life produces the separation of the soul from the body by breaking the fluidic connection that links them together. However, this process never occurs abruptly. The peri-spiritual body disengages little by little from all of the organs so that the separation is complete and final only when not a single atom of the spirit is connected to any one molecule of the body. And this concept is coming from that we have three bodies. We are spirits, that is our true self. Then we have an intermediary body that is called perispirit. And then we have the material body, our physical body, right? So the physical body, the perispirit or spiritual body, and the spirit. And the spirit obviously is not inside of the physical body, is connected molecule by molecule to the spirit. So there are spirits whose specialization is to help to disengage, to disconnect. Just imagine little scissors just cutting all these connections. I don't know how many atoms, molecules, okay, scientists here in the room, help me, we have in a physical body. But just imagine. So it's a long process. Oh, but Albita, what happened with a sudden death? Well, when those connections are disconnected very abruptly. So the spirit, the person, like don't even realize what happened. And we have so many stories about it. God's in the movie, right? It was abrupt. You know, this guy stabbed the other one, and the other one just kept running behind the guy, didn't realize about the disconnection, the separation. So this is just to remind our minds. And here we talk about the spiritual help. And in this book, Who is Afraid of Death, there is a whole group of spirits. And Richard Simonetti, the author, says, due to the need for specialized service, there are spiritual technicians who approach the disincarnating person and by magnetic means bring about the disengagement. Only high evolved beings do not require this type of assistance. This means that we can always count on specialized help during our transition. We're not going to be alone. Our loved ones, they weren't alone. In addition to the comforting presence of relatives and friends who have preceded us. So it's literally a welcoming committee that we have. And it's specialized spirits, people that they study to do this. So we're not going to be alone. And we are pretty sure all of us, we have someone in the spirit realm already, very recent or long ago. It doesn't matter. We miss them, but they receive this help and this assistance. and that is comforting. And we found this documentary in Netflix. It's called Surviving Death. It's a very nice documentary that shows people doing research about this very topic. And the very first episode is about near-death experiences. We are fascinating for those experiences because they are the ones that the scientific community takes in consideration when we're talking about the spiritual world, because there are no physical material machines to measure. Oh, is a spirit there? Although, however, there is, but but they are not there yet. So the near to death experiences, these people that goes to the spirit realm and comes back, and they narrate their stories, and there are some commonalities. It doesn't matter if someone have that experience here in the United States and then someone in the Congo, like two different cultures, but the experiences are very similar because we're talking is about humans, no culture. So just if you don't have anything to watch tonight, just watch that the first episode of Surviving Death. So how can we assist? How can we help? Especially if we are taking care or we know or we are close, a family member who is in a long illness, something of the sort, right? So here they say that the exaggeration of grief expressed by despair and non-acceptance create fluid bonds that weave a retention web where the physical life is artificially sustained, meaning there is the ill person. Spirits, they are working on separating these connections. However, we, as a family members, as a friends, with our desire for this person not to go, what we are doing is our vital energy is helping them to still sustain those connections. We had that experience. We grew up with our grandmother, my mother's mom, and she got ill. So one night she started having this, I forgot the term, the medical term, for very short and quick heart attacks, like one after another and after another. So my mother and we were there, and I was expecting my son. And I was very close to my grandmother. I am close to my grandmother. So I remember she was in this desperation trying to grab air. So you see how life is going out of the body. And at the moment, and in my ignorance, what I did is I went to her bed, I kneel on her bed, and I put her head on my chest. So I was like a pillow for her. Her face was in this direction. And I embraced her. And I say, Abuelita, Grammy, be strong. We are here. I thought I was doing good. Okay, I was 27, 26 years old. So I thought I was helping my grandmother. A man was on a chair praying, probably praying, I don't know, Mommy, what were you thinking? But when I was there, all of a sudden, I start feeling very, very sleepy, terrible sleep. So I told Mom, I need to go to sleep. It was about 3 a.m, by the way. But I couldn't resist, so I went to sleep. And I left, and Mommy fell asleep. When Mommy wake up around 6 a.m, our grandmother already departed. And this is very common, folks. This is very common when we are really thinking that I need to sustain you in this moment. So what happens is the good mentors, they create situations for the family to get out of the room. Let's say it's in a hospital. Like somebody say, oh, let us have a coffee, because they saw that the patient kind of recovers. They go, oh, it's getting better. We're going for a coffee. And when they come back, it's gone. Or the sleepy situation is as well registered in our literature. Like we get sleepy because we are interfering. So how can we help? By praying, right? That's the best medicine for for all the illnesses in the world. Praying for our loved one to have a good transition, praying for the mentors to be near him or her and help them to disconnect, praying for myself to accept that is part of life. This is common. This is normal. This is not out of the norm. Thoughts of love, we hope that we are going to re-encounter in the future. And sometimes there are cases of people that they have the time to talk with the loved one and say, it is okay if you go. We are okay. We're fine. Like go, because sometimes a father and mother doesn't want to disengage because they have little kids or responsibilities, right? So like, it's okay. Even expressly verbally and say, it is fine. It is fine. We are going to see each other in the future. Those are things that we can do. Hopefully we remember, because when we are in those situations, all the emotion takes over us. But if we have these concepts in the back of our mind, it's going to bring us some peace and comfort. Now, during the funeral, once the person passes away, right? It depends of the culture again, how it's going to be the funeral, the rituals, the ceremonies. But the idea is during those moments to be focused and be respectful of the moment. Because for some patients or person, the disconnection is still going on, although there is a physical death. And we talk about in the February 2021, we talk about the medical, physical death, and spiritual death. I don't know how to put it, when it happens. But the idea is there is a team of spirits working there, and we need to help with the situation. There are some people that are they are careless, and they have side conversations about the flamingo. Sorry, Daniel. And or whatever conversation, very light conversation that doesn't belong to the moment. Also, out of respect of the people who is grieving there, out of respect of myself. Just keep it quiet, praying, supporting one another, but not having these mundane conversations that are not going to add. On the opposite, is going to be difficult. We are going to read here. When we attend a funeral, we fulfill a sacred obligation of sympathy. Sacred obligation. In an attempt to comfort the family. Unfortunately, we tend to do it by half only with our physical presence, ignoring what is defined as spiritual behavior, which is expressed through the respect for the place and our efforts to help the dead person. And then after the funeral, in the physical dimension, the feeling of personal loss, the sad atmosphere, the painful absence. In the spiritual dimension is the opposite, the happiness of the family and friends in the anticipation of a happy reunion. Isn't it something? Let us talk or think about the dead person with discretion, avoiding to overload him or her with recollections and feelings capable of disturbing them. And let us pray a lot in his or her benefit. So once everything is done, sometimes we keep, and it's completely, it's natural, that we thinking about the person that already passed. And sometimes we exaggerate the qualities of the person, right? Everybody who passed away it was such a great guy, such a great lady. Oh my goodness. We do that, and that's positive, but sometimes those exaggerations are not really helping the spirit. So something that is discreet and meaningful. And if we have difficulties with our thoughts, we can step out of the place. It's better to do that rather than to be there as in our body, but our mind is not in the moment. And we as spirits, we can help in those moments. We don't need to pray with our voice, just quiet. And the good spirits, they are going to take those fluids, that energy that we are emanating to help the deceased person and even the family members. So this is the etiquette that we were talking at the beginning, during the moment of discarnation, during the funeral, and after the funeral. And from the presentation that we did in last year in June about the letters of the mothers of Chico Xavier, that's the way it is called, there is the case of Augusto Cesar. And there is a letter that he writes to his mother, and we're going to read only the highlight part. He says to his mother, "Your afflictions and anxieties, your words and questions of pain, looking for answers about what happened to me, hurt me deeply, because I wanted to explain, but I couldn't express myself. If your darling heart could be placed in mine, you will know how painful your crying was, and those heartfelt prayers that I received from you, made before my picture or in front of my picture, and memories of those places where our last gatherings happening when I was alive. Don't think that I didn't hear you because I cried your tears for a long time. And when the first hopes came in your soul, accepting the real conception of life after death, a light coming from your love was also my light. I thank you today for everything." And it continues. So basically, with Augusto Cesar is expressing to the mother that when she was in the state of despair, right, of not acceptance, a lot of anxiety, which we are not condemning here. We're not saying don't feel. We're not saying that, no. What we are saying is like we need to be mindful. We are just humans, and we cry, and we need to go through that period of grieving, and grieving is very personal. So for someone, 2 months of grieving is enough, and for some others they need 2 years, and some others they need 2 decades, and in these cases even more to heal, because we are normal. We as a society, we are not yet at the point of normalize the enter to the stage and the exit from the stage. So when we were born and decide, everybody's like, what a joy, a new baby, woo, welcome. And we celebrate, and we do a lot of things to celebrate. And when this person departs, it's a lot of grieving. And it's the opposite in the spiritual one. When if we watch the movie No Solar, or we read the book No Solar, our home, in our home, the spiritual city, there was a couple, 2 ladies. They were so nice with Andre Luis and all the characters there, but it was time for them to reincarnate. And they were at the gate of the Department of Reincarnation, and there are tears there, and there's sorrow, and they're grieving because they're going to reincarnate. It's a temporary separation, and that's what can we do when we are in a better world? those emotions, we are going to be able to manage better. So what we are saying here is, let us be mindful of our very own emotions. Of our emotions have a direct impact over our loved one, and we can retain or detain the person here on the planet, and we are unaware of the situation, so we are inflicting a suffering towards our loved one. So we are grieving, we are sad, but we are praying, and we are saying, it's okay, I understand. This is a hard separation, but we know you are okay. We know you are in a better place. We know that you are growing. We know that you're having this new experience, going to a spiritual university and learn a lot of things and get prepared for a new reincarnation. That is exciting. So sending these thoughts is going to help our loved ones. And here, Augustus Caesar says, when the mother accepts the transition, oh, the prayers, how a lot of good did to him, that he felt it, right? Obviously, we don't want to inflict suffering over our loved ones. But that is it's an unconscious way. We don't know how to express it. It's a way that we learn that this is supposed to be this way, but it's not. Thinking positive thoughts, thoughts of love. We are about to finish. So in the Gospel according to Spiritism, in chapter 28, there is a collection of prayers. And there are prayers for every occasion, for a newborn child, or prayers for those who are no longer on earth. And right before this item 4, there is a prayer for the person who is dying or in the process of discarnation. Because when we are in those moments, finding the words, it's not easy. We don't even know what to say to someone who recently, we say lost, but it's not lost, a loved one. We don't know, we don't have any idea. Sometimes we are blank and because we are not learning that. We can learn how to comfort and also how to pray for the ones who already depart. So we're going to finish the presentation with a prayer. And we would like to invite each one of you here present, over there, the ones that are watching us in this present moment or in the future. We are going to do this prayer for a person who already discarnated. Just think in someone, and we're going to send these vibrations of love. Almighty Lord, may your mercy extend over our brother, sister, who have just left earth behind. May your light shine on their eyes. Keep them from darkness. Open their eyes and ears. May your good spirits envelop them and enable them to hear words of hope and peace. Lord, as unworthy as we are, we dare implore your merciful indulgence on behalf of this one of our brothers or sisters, who has been called from exile. Let her return be like that of the prodigal son. O God, forget the wrongs that he or she may have committed, and remember only the good she might have done. Your justice is immutable, we know, but your love is great. We ask you to attenuate your justice through the fount of goodness that emanates from you. May the light shine on you, my brother, my sister, who has left the earth behind. May the good spirits of the Lord descend upon you, envelop you and help you rid yourself of your earthly bonds. Understand and behold the grandeur of our Lord. Yield without complaint to his justice, but never despair of his mercy. My brother, my sister, may a true return to your past open to you the portals to the future and enable you to understand the wrongs you are leaving behind and the work that remains for you to repair them. May God forgive you, and may good spirits uphold and encourage you. Your brothers and sisters on earth shall pray for you, and they ask that you pray for them. And so be it.
Thank you, Alba, for this beautiful presentation. Is anybody still afraid of? Everybody convinced that everything will be okay? Good. You did a good job, Alba.
The good mentors here in the room.
Thank you. No, thank you for. I know we say jokingly, but it's definitely a topic that it crosses our heart. And I was one of the ones back there that, yeah, I'm afraid of that. Yes. Even my wife was like, "You afraid of that?" I was like, "Yes, I'm afraid of that."
Can I confess something here? I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of the way how I'm going to discarnate. That's different, right? Like, what is it? It's going to be a car accident or a long illness? Just tell me so I'm prepared.
With all this excitement about that, then any comments?
Alba, my dear, thank you so much for this talk. There is a movie about the life of Chico Xavier, a Brazilian movie. I'm not sure if you have seen it already, but there is a scene where he's traveling by plane, and during some turbulence, he gets desperately afraid of death. And Emmanuel starts to talk to him, "Don't be afraid. What is happening to you?" Well, when I saw this, I thought to myself, well, Chico Xavier knows better anyone. He has no sure about the future of, about the surviving of the spirit after the death of the material body. So, how can we find balance between not undervaluing the material life and acting hacklessly and with not caring about our body and etc. and our healthy, to find this balance?
Thank you, Wendell, for bringing us. If you watch the movie, you can see the Chico. He wasn't afraid. He was like dying of fear of dying, And Emmanuel, he was very stern with him. He like, compose yourself. Hey, Wendell, as we mentioned at the beginning, at least at the level that we are right now, getting rid of that fearful of death, is not possible because we need that little bit of fear in order, because it's life preservation, right? It's to preserve our very own body. So, yes, and I think that finding the balance, it comes from loving ourselves, loving our physical body, loving the circumstances in which we are, loving the family, the people, and everything that is taking place in our reincarnation is like on stage. Our reincarnation was planned like that. We are the main character of this current reincarnation. So being grateful for what we have right here and right now. It's hard not to be attached, yes, but knowing that when someone passes before us is not the end of life, knowing when it's our turn is not the end of life, knowing that there is a brighter future ahead of us, those concepts and concepts is going to help us to live as balanced as possible. The challenge, as Joanna De Angelis say, and Kirsten, please help me, where is this? Because I don't remember the book, but it's all about emotions, right? Thank you, Existential Conflicts by Joanna De Angelis. We are going to have a PhD in how to manage our emotions once we are in a different, more evolved spiritual level. We're here taking just the 101 course. I don't know if I answered your question. Okay. And thank you for bringing that movie. And there is another movie, Netflix or Amazon, they're not paying us for any of this. There is Gervais is the actor, the UK actor, Godstown. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's a comedy, but actually these guys start seeing spirits after an experience, and they are, they got to know, like, oh, this guy, they can see us. And there are spirits that are stuck on earth because there are some unfinished business. And this happened. And it's either because the loved ones are retaining them, maintain them like earthbound, or because the spirit has the need to fix something before moving to the next level.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you touched on that note, because one of the question that I have, sorry to hog the microphone. I would like to ask a question too. So, since you touched on this idea, and you briefly also mentioned in terms of, the preparation to come and reincarnate here, we know as spiritists that there is at least a number of things that we ought to accomplish, right? Not, we have free will and so on and so forth, but still there is a some that needs to be accomplished by us. What if the fear of death is related to the fact that we don't know if we did what we're supposed to do? On your studies, based on your studies, what would you say? And as our friend asked as well, Wendell asked, what is the balance? Where do we find the balance? Because we all know that we have challenges, right, that we have to go through, but we always want to know, am I a completer, as we learn from Andrea Luis?
Yes, Leito, and this is a common feeling, I don't know how to express, especially among us spiritists or even spiritual people, because we know, okay, our true self is a spirit, I'm going back to the spirit realm, so be it. But then it's like, we reincarnate because we have a mission. And what if I am not completer? That is very common sentiment. And you say the question was how to find balance is by every day trying our best, having good intentions for everything that we do, and being very graceful with ourselves. At the end of the day, when St. Augustine is advising us to pray and to check how was our day, and okay, I did this, check, okay, it was good there, but I was very intolerant here. Oh my goodness, it's an area that I need to work. Right? So instead of hurting ourselves and say, bye Albita, bad Albita, because you need to be tolerant and indulgent and forgiving of the others, it's like okay, I'm going to try it tomorrow. And so on and so forth. Trying our best every day and giving ourselves grace.
Great talk, Alba. I was just thinking your talk reminded me that, reminding us about death and dying, and also how closely related our instinct of self-preservation is to our fear of death, and how that kind of complicates things, and kind of how that fear of death is always kind of with us. It's that instinct somehow within us. But at the same time, I think your talk really made me remember instances working in healthcare where, in talking with colleagues, particularly a friend of mine who was a physician, like 2 decades ago, or 2, 3 decades ago, one of her first patients that died. And it turned out that this particular patient was an abortionist and kept hanging on and so she said she did a prayer and she felt inspired to say to this person, this patient of hers, like, it's okay to go, it's okay, and all these other inspiring words. And so I wonder if maybe a follow-up talk, if you've thought about it, talking more specifically, how do we approach death, and how do we approach death in dealing with those around us, perhaps in healthcare, just perhaps in our everyday lives, and how Spiritism views that. But great talk, Alba. Thank you so much for bringing it.
Thank you, Kirsten. I was thinking, you were talking and I was thinking thanatology. Ooh, thanatology, we know, is the study of the dead, what is going on, what happened when people discarnate. And there is people that they are scholars in thanatology, and their job is to help family members or friends to let the person who is dying, to let this person go, to ease that situation. But thank you for the suggestion, Kirsten.
Paula.
Thank you. I also think this topic should be continually revisited. It's a very important one. Recently, I was reading that people who practice yoga and or meditate have an easier time dying. And then I thought about it, and what I concluded was those two practices really help you let go and center yourself. So if one is in the process of letting go, I think those trainings are helpful. This week, when I came out of my senior center, they have free newspapers in this Baltimore area for people 50 and over. And the cover story was a gentleman talking about his near-death experience. So that, the beacon, that like blew my mind. I mean, it's just out. It's not in any special religious or spiritual. And he changed from being a businessman to producing documentaries. And the person he encountered was his grandmother. And it's that same warmth and love and light where you hear in all these different stories. And the last thought I just wanted to share was my experience when my mother died. She was at Stella Maris, and I was not a Spiritist yet. I had been a Catholic, but I was in my Buddhist period. That came in the middle. So when I went to sit with her body the morning after she passed, I brought my copy of the Tibetan Book of the Living and Dying. And here I start reading the death prayer to assist her spirit to let go of the body. I distinctly heard her voice. She said, "Dear, we were not raised Buddhist." So then I quickly substituted Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, and we were good. Thanks.
Thank you, Paula. But you know what? That is important, as Leo has been presenting here about planetary transition, etc., to keep in mind what are the beliefs of the person who passed away. So if, as we mentioned, because this is what we know about the Catholic world, is someone that is Catholic and is concerned about going to hell, we can ease that sentiment with a specific prayer, that is from the Catholic world. So even if we don't share the same beliefs, we can help. And also, as probably as a final note, it's important for all of us that we are already incarnate here to create a plan. It's called the Let's Will. I'm looking at Paul, I'm looking last will. That is not the inheritance or testament or no. The last will is a document that we can type, we can write, and actually there are formats in you Google, you find it and you just fill it out. So it is important to let our loved ones know what do we want when we pass it away. Do we want a funeral? Do we want to be cremated? Do we want music? Do we want what do that's very important because at those critical moments, especially when parents depart and their children and their adult children, there's a lot of quarrels and situations in which these children depart from one another because they didn't know, oh, my mother really wants this. And I'm going to bring this to share this with you. A couple of years ago, Mom and I, we were on a vacation on the Blue Mountains in Virginia, such a peaceful and beautiful place. And he came to me like, hey, why you don't do your last will? I haven't done mine, but I asked Mother to do it. So we have it. She did it. And she's asking for specific things that neither my sister or we thought about it, but we need her to let us know. Are we going to donate our organs? Things like that. Or even things like, what do I want for the people to do with my clothes? With my belongings? It's important because it's part of life. So just prepare that, give it to someone that is going to outlive you, couple of people around and say, this is what I want. And even with the finances and everything, we need to be prepared so it's not an extra burden for the loved ones when they're going through that moment. Okay, be good.
Thank you, Alba. Very good reminder about these important things. That is the transition, right? As Benjamin Franklin has also said, there is two things that we cannot avoid: tax and death, right? I just wanted to bring to our attention one of the messages that is in the book Happy Life, that Joanna advises us to meditate about death because it's inevitable, right? As you said, I think to think about it, not like in a morbid way, but to think about that one day we're not going to be here. To think about one day I'm not going to be doing this work. One day I'm not going to be, here at the center in the physical body, probably as a spirit, right? Or I'm not going to be driving to my work. So I think this kind of thing is important for us in order for us to go in peace to the other side, right? Otherwise, we're going to be stuck here. So meditate about, this moment of the transition from the physical body to the spiritual one.
Thank you,
you.
Daniel. In Happy Life, there are two messages about it. One starts by saying, from time to time, think about death. That's the way, because we need it. And the other is like, I'm paraphrasing, it's like once in a while, go to a funeral. She recommends us, not because it's morbid or something like, to go to a funeral. Once in a while, even if it's not someone close to us, but it's a training, like a learning to ride the bike. So we train and we see what is going on, and it helps us to be prepared. Okay, I think we're good. Okay.
Yes, we are, Alba. Thank you so much for this amazing reminder. As Daniel said, it is something, we joke, we're, treating it in a positive and kind way, obviously laughing about it. But at the end of the day, when we do our analysis, it is something that we need to take seriously, right? Do the best we can to do whatever we have to do while we're here, and then make peace with it, because it's just at the end of the day, it's just a transition that we're going back to where we came from, hopefully completers, right? And have our conscience, on a positive way. What we would like to do and propose is that we will say a short visualization and then pray together in lieu of the passes, and then close our evening tonight. Thank you. Thank you.